So this morning, I'm going to take you through a practice of softness, of yielding, and of being. If you joined me yesterday morning, there's definitely a lot of similarities, but maybe we'll travel a new journey with it. So today, as we practice, I'm going to be posing questions to you to draw you into your experience of your body, of you. To go along with this practice today, there is a playlist, a Spotify playlist, and it would be great to get that queued up, ready to play. If you don't have Spotify that's paid for, though, you will get adverts. So it's probably best to just allow it, just practice with the sound of your own environment rather than the adverts. But the link is now in the chat box. So if you'd like to get that ready, I'm going to explain in the meantime what we're going to be doing. So together, we're going to practice as a collective. Even though we're through Zoom, we're all united through the internet, each of us a vital part of this practice all together, and yet we're all going to have our own unique experience. I have no idea how practiced any of you are at yoga. If this is your first time on the mat, welcome. Leave any preconceived ideas, even if you are really practiced. In this today, there's no correct position to be kind of searching for, to be doing. What we're really interested in is how all of this feels. And whatever comes through your body, it comes through. And all and every experience is totally valid. The whole idea with tuning into our physical sensations and allowing ourselves to be with them, like not try to change them, not push them away, but to actually be with them. And for these messages from the body to be felt and heard, it can be really transformative, certainly life-changing. And this practice is about tuning into what is there inside us in that moment, and in the next moment, and the next moment again. So we're not searching for anything in particular, but being open to whatever comes through us, whatever moves through us. The big question is, can we start to be more open to things in this manner outside of a yoga mat and see what comes through? Maybe there's more compassion, more connection. And we might be more comfortable in finding and maybe appreciating the full spectrum of emotion and sensation that we as humans are really capable of, but that we often shut down. I know on occasion the messages from our bodies can be really all-consuming. Definitely there are places and points that maybe it feels a bit too much to cope with. And should that happen to you at any point, please, if you've got your eyes closed, open your eyes. Come back into the outer world rather than your inner world. And take a really long exhale. Let it all go. So I'm going to say that again because this is really, really, really important. If at any point, whatever you're feeling is too much for you, open your eyes, come back to the outside world, and take a long exhale. So let the breath out with the eyes open. And perhaps you stay like that a little while. And if you feel ready, join back in. So can we also try to experience our body without our brain adding a story as we move, as things move through us? So any sensations, any emotions that come up, can we just allow them to be there without querying or questioning where their root lies, where have they come from? So in a moment, we will probably start to practice. If you want to press play on your playlist about now, we'll probably be all listening to the same music at the same time-ish. I'm sitting on a couple of cushions here. You might sit on cushions. I'd love you to be slightly elevated if you have the energy to sit up so that the hips come a little higher than knees. If you are feeling really Sunday morning, probably for good reason after yesterday, we can come to lie on our backs. Totally your choice. We'll take a moment to settle in. Find ourselves seated with a tall, elegant spine. Find ourselves laid back with a long, elegant spine if we're lying down. Maybe begin to close your eyes. If closing your eyes isn't comfortable for you for whatever reason, maybe take your eyelids like 2/3 closed and let your gaze be lowered to the floor. And as we do this, as we begin to focus less on the outside world, we can begin to attend to ourselves a little easier. And begin to look inside that little bit more. Allowing your breath to be really natural, really unforced, just through the nose. If you've got a cold and you can't breathe through your nose, just breathe anyhow you can. Take any movements that your body wants to so that you begin to feel a little softer. Maybe there's neck rolls or shoulder rolls. We might begin to notice how we feel this morning. And that is in the truest sense of the word. How do you feel? What are you feeling within your body right now? Not the very British, how do you feel? Great, thanks. Take a moment to really feel. So if any questions come up from this practice, I'd love for you to send them through in the Q&A, and at the end of the session, I'll get round to answering any that are there. So don't feel alone. In fact, it's really a great thing sometimes to be sharing experience because as a collective, there's often a lot of similarities. So our practice is based on the lungs today, which is the organ associated with autumn. And the skin as well. So can we allow our breath to be really soft and full here? Getting a sense of the breath moving down into the belly. You might want to place your hands on the lower ribs to activate this fuller breath. And allowing your breath to swell you into the back and the sides of your body, as well as the front. And perhaps with your eyes closed here, we begin to sense the breath not just happening through the nose, almost as if you're breathing through every pore in your skin. Just how a sea sponge breathes water in the sea through the pores. So visualizing the breath moving in and out through every pore, as well as your nose. Using that breath to draw you into your edges. And then we're going to begin some self-massage. So if we start from the outer edge of our collarbone, you might want to move your shoulder too, so you can work out where the edge of your collarbone is. And then simply stroking down the inner seam of the arm, all the way through to the tip of the thumb. And then stroking all the way back to where you started. And this massage, this motion here, is tracing the lung meridian line, or part of the lung meridian line. So from the outer corner of your collarbone, all the way down that top inseam of the arm to the tip of the thumb. And if your eyes have opened because you were following me on the screen, let them close again. Maybe today we really try to practice eyes closed so that we can stay in the body a little more. Taking this stroke once more. And then when the hands come up, might trace all the way across the collarbones. The other hand will then begin to massage the opposite arm. All the way to the tip of the thumb. How does it feel as you're doing this? Have you got skin on skin or clothes on skin? What textures lie in this? And throughout this practice today, everything that I guide you through is an invitation. If something feels like it's really nourishing you and you're not ready to move on from it, then maybe stay with that a little longer. There's no hurry, okay? Once more with this. And then allow yourself to settle, eyes closed. Just notice how you feel now. Not changing anything, just being with that. And when you're ready, we might begin to move. So if you're laid on your back, perhaps you turn very softly, very gently to fetal position. If you're seated, you might unpack your legs from how you're seated. Is there anything that wants to move? Anything that wants to intuitively move? Let yourself rebound from whatever position you were in. And eventually, movement will take us and we'll meet on all fours. And on all fours, we'll just allow our spines to begin to move. So perhaps there's cows, hollow-backed forms, and their friends are cats, arched back. Or perhaps we begin to move a little more through all the planes of movement that are possible, rather than just forwards and backwards. We might begin to twist and roll and find something altogether more organic. Your hands and your feet, they aren't stuck where they first landed, so feel free to let them explore around. Eyes closed, allow yourself to really feel into this movement. Notice the places that your body is calling you into. What feels really natural for you to do? Just allowing your spine to move in this very soft, fluid way. No pushing, not efforting a lot, but finding this very soft body that it's allowing itself to be moved. Then in a moment, we're going to begin to play, and it's play, with a movement that might be a little different. So we're going to try and get our spines to roll how a fish swims. So they move side to side, kind of a shimmering oscillation. So let's bring our hand to our tailbone to start with, because most of us are really quite disconnected from our tailbones. It's not to say we all have tails, but there is still a bone there. It's usually just at the cleft between your buttocks. And by touching it, we can find our awareness there. And then we might begin to be able to allow that kind of fish oscillating spinal movement, that shimmering spine, to start from that point, so that the movement is initiated at your tail, and then you allow that movement to slowly slink all the way up your spine. Having your head held out in front of you means that this movement will continue all the way up into the neck. Rather, if you drop your head down, it kind of stops. Let your whole spine begin to drop into this movement. You might find it's quite difficult to talk and do. You might find that the more you try in it, the more difficult it becomes. And it's when you just let yourself soften into it that it all becomes a lot easier. What can we feel happening through the back of the body? Can we begin to feel the rib cage softening and moving a little bit differently to the spine, perhaps? And then when we're ready, we'll soften ourselves back towards a child's pose. So bottom moves in the direction of the heels, and we can soften forwards. Now, for me, my bottom regularly doesn't reach my heels. Totally depends what I've been doing the few days before. So a cushion between my heels and my bottom feels really nice and supportive. And also a cushion in front of you, if your head doesn't meet the floor very comfortably, this can make the whole experience a lot more held, a lot more supported. So as you stay in your child's pose, rather than me talking to a cushion, I'll sit up and kind of guide where we're going. But you stay folded in your child's pose if it's comfortable for you. Can we begin to sense into the breath in the back of the body there? As you're folded forwards, we often become a lot more sensitive through the back body, as everything is gently lengthened. And we might feel that movement happening with the breath. And you feel the breath starting in the lower back, creeping its way up through the mid-back, and maybe filling that space between the shoulders. In a moment, we will begin to walk the hands over towards the right-hand side. Your left bum cheek will draw gently towards the left heel. Can we still find a sense of softness in this? So we're not really rigid and literally at the limits of the arcing possibility. Nothing else can happen. But can we find a place where you're arced really gently? Really gently. And then float up onto the fingertips of the left hand so that something happens through that arm. Maybe there's a sense of energy, of gentle activation. And where does the breath go now with that left arm extended over towards the right and up on attented fingers, just on the left hand? Can we get a sense of the breath and how it moves now in and around your body? Then let's allow that hand to soften down to the floor so the palm finds the ground. And we'll slowly begin to walk ourselves back to a neutral child's pose. So arms are out in front here, or you might take your arms back behind you. If your body's calling you to move, get off your knees, get off your heels. Maybe you take a few spinal rolls here. If you are very happy in your child's pose, that's cool, because that's where we're going to meet again in a moment before we take care of that similar movement, that similar exploration on the other side. So when we're ready, we'll gather again in child's pose. Arms out in front, head softened down. And then slowly begin to let your body arc towards the left. So knees stay where they are. Your right bum cheek will stay towards your right heel. We can draw ourselves all the way over, coming up onto the fingertips, this time of the right hand. Is your body still soft and movable with the breath? Is there still that yielding as the body meets the breath and the body moves with the breath, and then it softens back? So that relationship with the breath almost begins to feel a little tidal. So we're really beginning to practice this softness and get a sense of us being moved. Where's the breath journeying now as it moves through your body? What path does it carve as it moves through? And then coming back to center in your own time, palms soften down, hands begin that walk back to neutral. Arms may stay out in front, maybe release behind you towards your feet. Or maybe you want to move. So there's these moments within this practice today that we're going to call rebounds, or that are called rebounds quite commonly. And these are the spaces between the gaps after maybe we've explored something, and the body's very much free to do as the body wants to do. So if they want to move anything, if that intuitive movement's kind of coming through, if you just want to pause and feel into the kind of echoes of the pose previous, then you might do that. But these are the rebounds. So when I say take a rebound, that's what I'm referring to. And I might give you a few options, but please don't be limited to the options that I give you, okay? We're going to come back down to that child's pose again. And we're going to take it over to the right once more. So the left arm arcs and bringing the left fingertips to the ground. Let yourself draw that the left heel to the left bum cheek as well. so that you've got that arcing. And here we're going to breathe into the back again. These back lobes of the lungs, through the back body. These parts of us that we don't breathe into very often. And as you begin to allow your breath to enter these ponds, as my teacher calls them, which I think is a lovely name for them. It's kind of darker, stiller pools of energy. What's in there for you? How does it feel as you begin to experience that back lobe of the lung and the breath moving into it? What textures, maybe temperatures, colours. Each of us experiences sensation in a different way. What's there for you today in this moment? In a moment, we'll come back to our neutral form. So meeting perhaps in a child's pose. Maybe there's some rebound movement to take. You might like to untuck your toes. You might like to roll at ankle. Taking a moment to feel into what is happening in your body after you've moved from there. So often in life and in our yoga too, we do a thing and then we dash off to the next. Taking a moment here to let that land. This is really subtle, energetic work that we're playing with today. Maybe less subtle sometimes. But noticing what's there for us in this. And then we'll head over to the other side in your own time. So the right heel will be drawn towards the right bum cheek. Arms will be headed to the left. And we'll come up on that right hand's fingertips. And again, we'll begin to adventure with the breath, following its trail. What lies in the depths of this other lung? What is there for you to feel and experience? Maybe there's a few beautifully soft breaths here before you bring yourself back to neutral. And then once you've found yourself in neutral, take that rebound. Allow your body to move in whatever way feels right for you. Or be still in whatever position feels right for you. And we'll return to all fours, taking our time as we allow ourselves once more to drop into that fish swimming, shimmering movement. Perhaps this time, though, with our newly awakened lungs, we might get a sense of the lungs leading the movement rather than the spine following the lungs, perhaps. And then we'll pause, let that movement settle. We're going to bring our right hand to the center of our chest. And as we spiral open, getting a sense of opening out from the center, and then bringing ourselves back down to the floor. So really feeling into that rotation from the center, opening out, and then drawing back. And this time we might open out, we might extend out through the arm, softly extending all the way to the thumb. And then we can draw that back in. This time we're going to take it all the way underneath us, and perhaps our head reaches the floor. And you can choose to pause in either place within this. So maybe you're opening out like this, or perhaps you're taking the twist towards the floor. So from the front, it looks like this. And from the other side, like this. You can also bring your friends, the cushions, in to add a little support or softness. Can you, again, softly extend the arms? So there's still a sense of movement. There's still that possibility of yielding to the breath. And within these forms, whether we are opened out or twisted towards the floor, we're going to come back to that sea sponge breath that we did at the start. Visualizing every single pore in your body breathing you. Your skin is your lungs. What lies under this full body breath? Can we continue that visualization of breathing through all of our skin as we shift back to neutral and explore the other side? So left hand will come to the center of your chest. You might open out and then come back through. Getting a sense again of how you feel with this beautiful full skin breath. Your skin breathing you. Your whole body soft and movable with the breath. Maybe there's that pause again. Either position doesn't need to be the same as what happened on the other side either. Each side of our body can hold tension in a really different way to the other. So let yourself be in the place that feels right for you on this side. Again, getting the sense of breathing through every single pore on your skin. So your whole body is drawn into practice. And then when you're ready, we'll come back towards neutral. For our final exploration today, before we take rest, I'm going to invite you to take something that's similar to this. You might do this seated. You may also bring yourself to lie down and do it. So if you bring yourself to lie down, I recommend having a pillow underneath your forehead. And when you cross your arm, and maybe it's 2 pillows today. No messing around with me today. When you find that support, your arm is still crossing over where your collarbones are. It's not come down. And your chest is still pointing towards the floor. So we're not rotating and twisting, but our heads are downwards. And if it's not comfortable for you to lie on your front for whatever reason, this is the same thing, or seated as we were at the start. And just gently holding the upper arm. Maybe there's a little movement. We're not pushing. We're not pushing here. We're just allowing that space at the back to open out. If you're seated, actually, the other rather lovely way of doing it is to hug your other shoulder. Let the other arm just be. I don't want you to feel like you're moved to the most full extension and really stretching here. I want you to be comfortable with any sensation that exists there, okay? So if you feel like you've gone as far as you possibly could, come back just a little. How does it feel here? How do you feel here in this now? And as you're breathing, can you find this beautifully smooth texture to your breath? So that you're allowing the exhale to leave, to move out, to be gone. Trusting that the next breath arrives at the right time. So there's this real smoothness rather than this holding, this not releasing of the exhale. Noticing how you are with that. And you let the breath just move through you. You let it move on through, out. Let it all go. If we're seated now, we're going to release that arm from across our chest and just let it come to rest on your legs for a moment. If you're laid down with your arm underneath you, I recommend rolling towards the shoulder of the arm that's underneath you so that you roll out, carefully avoiding any furniture you might have around you, and come to lie on your back. Maybe knees bend and soles of the feet find the floor if you're on your back. But take a moment here, take that rebound, that time that is completely yours. What do you need to do? Is this enough? And then, as is traditional, we will take this movement to the other side. So again, if you are taking it from your belly, I'm only starting there because I was laid down. The other arm will thread under. It may or may not go as far as the other arm. Feel where this one wants the support and allow your head to be supported. If you don't have cushions to hand as well, the other hand can make a really good pillow. If you are coming to this from a seated position, the upper arm crosses across the collarbones and we gently hold it with the other hand. Maybe that hand finds the opposite shoulder and you give yourself some kind of odd one-armed hug. You might explore a little movement around, find your neck. Just let your eyes close. And find that softness of yourself towards the breath. Allowing it to move through you. Allowing everything to move through. If we're finding that we start to feel a little stressed by our breath and the breathing, can we just let the breath be and almost be an observer rather than an active breather? Couple more breaths here before you know the way out. We just did this. Before, if you've got your arms crossed and you're seated, let your arms release to the floor. And you'll make your way slowly onto your back. And if you're laid on your belly, maybe there's that spiral towards the shoulder of the arm that is underneath your collarbone. So you can spiral all the way around and land on your back. And if you have a blanket or socks or a jumper, anything to keep you warm, keep your body in that space of sense, or that sense of support, you may want to pop them on whilst you pause just there. Taking your time as you allow your body to realign into a form where you get a sense of really being supported by the floor. Allowing yourself now, this time as you rest, just experience you. Just as we let the exhales leave in that very soft, unattached manner, can we now let anything that came up in practice, can we let that go too? It was what it was. If you're still working through anything that came up in practice and you're not ready to move from rest, stay just as you are. Or if you're just comfortable, it's Sunday, there's no need to move. You're all in your own homes. But if you'd like to close the practice with me, perhaps there's a little bit of movement that begins, maybe in the extremities. We'll take a few of those beautifully full breaths through every single pore in your skin. The whole body breathing you. And then let it go. Every pore inhaling and every pore exhaling. Take a moment, still laid down, to just feel into your own aliveness here, however that is today. And when you're ready, you might begin the slow and gentle clamber up to find your seat. And as your hands meet palm to palm, take a moment to thank yourself for showing up for your practice today. And thank you to each and every one of you for joining us today through the internet. I'm going to tend to the questions now. If you've got any more, then pop them through and I will take a look and try to answer as many as we have time for. Any experience that any of you have had is really valid. I'm going to say it again, sharing in your own experience can often make other people feel, I don't know, more seen, more normal in what they've experienced too. Because this stuff can be really weird, right? Undoubtedly, magical sometimes too. So when I start thinking about my breathing, I can't seem to do it anymore, even though I do it 24/7. How can I stop getting stressed by this? This is really common. It happens a lot. That's generally when we start to do things I like to think it's a byproduct of being a high achiever when I try so hard to do things properly that I end up messing them up. Um, the only way I find to find a way with these practices is to keep doing them. And that, I'm guessing that you actually wanted a beautiful secret of how to find so much ease with your breath. All of these things are just practice, doing them wrong 1,000,000 times. And then you might have a day where suddenly your breath is so beautifully free and you're like, ah, it's there. And you'll probably get so excited at that point that it all messes up again and you're back to square one. But it is just practice. All of this is practice. I must say as well, quite often yoga looks really serene on the outside. You can be practicing in when we could practice in rooms with people, because that's off again. When we practice in rooms with people, everybody might look really calm. And I can guarantee you about 99% of them are having some kind of battle with something. So don't be fooled by the exterior of yogis. Quite often they're like swans swimming. There's a lot going on underneath the surface, okay? But keep practicing. Loving these sessions and my approach to teaching. Any chance I'm doing a course on yoga for grief? I don't tend to do yoga for anything. I tend to guide yoga to be with what is. So I'd like to think that all of my yoga is for all of the things that we might feel. And it's about providing you a container, a space to be with that, rather than me telling you what you should feel as you do it. I hope that makes sense. But come and practice with me. I'm online again now. Changed since yesterday. Oh, thank you for coming. Often when doing a guided movement practice at home, I disengage halfway through the session with acknowledging that there's been many feelings. And from the start, I was able to stay with the session. So, yes, I think sometimes as well, we can end up being so drawn into movement or staying in the current and the pace of another class, if there's a lot of movement, that we're not given that opportunity to feel, because there's a lot of gymnastic movement happening. So excellent. I am so happy that that changed something for you. Great. What yoga can I do to aid sleep? My yoga that I practice every single day is called Yoga Nidra, and it's a sleep, well, it's yogic sleep, it translates as. It's a meditation that I love because you don't have to be very good at meditating for it to work. It's 4 times more restorative than sleep. It's magic, and it helps you feel rested on a body, a mind, and a spirit level. It needs to be on prescription. I'm telling you now, if 2020 needs a yoga practice, it's Yoga Nidra. Okay, I've got some recorded on my website that are there for free. I'm also on the Insight Timer app, which a lot of us have downloaded. You can search me on there. I'm Pip Roberts. And you can also look on my website, which is piproberts.com. You can see how I got that, can't you? Where can I find out about the roots of my teaching? It's all on my website. I have a page on my website called /trainings, and there is all of the training I've done. My teacher at the moment who inspires me the most is called Satu. I can't say her surname very well, Tuomela. Look out Satu Yoga and you will find her. She is an amazing woman. Are there any courses? And there are a lot of courses and practitioners that I recommend to use things to release trauma. It's a very complicated thing of, is yoga a tool to release trauma? Should we be using it to release trauma, or should we just be teaching yoga so that people can find the trauma releases in its own time when they're ready to, if that makes sense? So I do not know of any courses or practitioners that directly do that. I know of a lot of trauma informed teachers. If you look up trauma informed yoga teacher, and your local area, you will find somebody who has the skills and the know-how to hold you in a way that you will feel safe doing normal yoga whilst your body is doing what it does of working everything out that life has thrown at it. I hope this is answering your questions. If not, you can email me, by the way. I'm totally open to that. I have got less than 2 minutes. So how valuable is it to invite touching into your own body? I feel it's a way of grounding, earthing, connecting when things get overwhelming. Exactly that. It's the most wonderful way of connecting, kind of defining our physical edges. Of course, our energetic body is bigger than our physical body. So, you know, we're playing with that as we move through it, I guess. But we send off, I think it's 40% of the neurotransmitters in your skin that help calm you down. A simple stroke does that. No special skills. I find it unbelievably soothing. It's in fact what we do really naturally when we're having a bad day. We hug ourselves, don't we? We touch our face. We do all of this. You know, we rub our legs when we're upset. Our body naturally knows how to soothe. Okay, quite a lot of this practice, we're drawing natural things in that we might do when we're more panicked, and we're just exploring them in a guided way. Oh, everyone says thank you. The name of the app is Insight Timer. It's amazing. It's a free app. There are millions of people meditating on there from all over the world. There's fresh stuff going up every day. I have a new one on there called Nighty Night Nidra, which went up last week, which is specifically for those of us, me included, by the way, who has difficulty going to sleep. So yeah, cool. Thank you so much. Oh, wow, that's really cool. I'm loving this. I've had a comment about a spine moving so intuitively. I love that. Thank you all very much. Have a lovely day.